Okay, so today we are going to see the same theory which we saw in last class, the law of returns to scale. But here, with the help of isocon curves, we are going to explain it. Okay, so the law of returns to scale is not new to you, and the same way, like isocount is also not new to you. You know both the concepts. Isocount, isocost line, all these things we saw when I explained produces equilibrium. And the law of returns to scale, I took it yesterday, like the scale of input that is used in the production process, like when there is a continuity, what happens to the returns output, and with that, with the marginal value, how to identify whether it is a increasing returns or whether it is having a diminishing returns or a constant returns, and the reasons for or the causes of these types of returns in the production process, all the things we have seen now. So now we are going to merge these two concepts. So law of returns to scale with the help of isocount. Actually, there are lots of theories afterwards being developed with this concept only. So this isocount, without explaining the law of returns to scale, is very important. And here, the constant returns to scale is used by many more economists in explaining their concept. Like when you go for advanced theories and all, mathematical economics application part and all, you will be going through a theory called Cobb-Douglas production function. So the production functions are of different type. One among that is the Cobb-Douglas production function, very famous one. The theory believes in constant returns to scale. So there and all, if you take they will be taking this one only, law of returns to scale with the help of a isocount approach. So in that sense, this becomes a base for many of advanced theories. But those theories we are not going to see, but the basic idea of law of returns to scale with isocount we will see today. Okay. So here the a concept is explained. So now you can see this is okay. The diagram is visible. So the diagram, this diagram explains the increasing returns to scale. Okay. So they are explaining it in a different way. Increasing returns means the concept is when the same proportion of a scale of input is used in the production process, there will be a increasing returns. The output that you are going to get it will be increasing. That is what is increasing returns. But the same concept with little bit of difference they are explaining with this isocon curve. So here you can take the isocon curve is there. Okay, so this is isocon curve. So instead of isocon curve, they have given the maximum production of that isocon curve. Okay, so 100 is a one isocon curve. So this isocon curve 1 can produce 100 units, and this isocon 2 can produce 200 units, and the next isocon 3 can produce 300 units. So this is the concept here. So you can see that to produce the first 100 units, the inputs that is used in the production process is 3 units of capital and 3 units of labor. Okay, so generally, like the law of returns to scale was a traditional approach. That's why there we saw labor and land as a input. But this usage of isocount is a modern approach to law of returns to scale. That's why here the capital and labor is used. Okay, so normally I used to say, from the factor input itself, you can say whether it is a traditional theory or a modern theory. So in the same way, like this is a modern approach to law of returns to scale. So what this explains is that the very first 100 units of output is produced with a combination of 3 units of capital and 3 units of labor. Okay, so the next 100 unit of output, that is from 100 to 200. When they are increasing their output to 100 more units, they are able to produce with two more additional units of capital and two more additional units of labor itself. Okay. So initially it required 3 units of capital and 3 units of labor. But when there was a development, that is the next stage of, in the next stage, they were able to achieve the same 100 units of production with two more units of capital and two more units of labor. So that is what is shown here. So here you can see it is 5 units of capital and 5 units of labor, which means that 5 minus 3, 2 units. Only they are using 2 units. So in the next level of production, when then further increase in, like to achieve again 100 more units of output, they are using only one more unit of, additionally, one more unit of capital and one more unit of labor. So the concept is that, like how they are explaining is that with less amount of labor scale, like input scale, they are able to achieve the same level of output. So that is an indication of increasing returns. Okay. So which means that indirectly they are saying that if the same 3 units of capital is going to be used, means obvious that they will not be producing 200, they will be producing more than 200. Okay, so with the limited inputs, they are able to achieve the same level of output or returns in the production process. That's why this is called as the increasing returns to scale. So that is the difference. So in law of returns to scale, we were explaining that like if a 3 unit of capital and 3 unit of labor is used, what will be the first level? After that, the second level, whether we are getting an increasing returns, or to calculate that, they were calculating the marginal returns, and if the marginal returns is in an increasing order, we were calling that as the increasing returns to scale. But the same thing, reversely, they are explaining it here. Like to produce the same amount of output, that is 100 unit of output, the process is going on. They are using less amount of capital and labor, that is less amount input, and they are able to produce output, which is an indication that returns to scale. So this is what is increasing returns to scale. Okay, so this is increasing return. In the same way, you can take other things like, so decreasing returns will be like this. So if you want to explain it with the same way, here to get the same level of output, that is 100 units, more of inputs are used, more of capital and labor ratio is used in the production process. That's why we call it as to scale. So here you can see the very first 100 unit of output is produced with the 2 units of capital and 2 units of labor. So with 2 units, they were able to produce 100 units. But the next 100, to produce the next 100 units of capital and 3 more units of labor. So here excess of one more labor and capital is used to achieve the same return in the production process. So that's why we call this as a decrease. Why? Because if in 2 unit, if it is going to be used, then you cannot produce to 200. You will be producing below 200 only. So that is an indication that the returns is in a diminishing order. Okay. So same like that, the third unit of the unit, if equal to the same, using 4 unit of capital and 4 unit of labor. The difference between 9 and 5 is 4. Okay, so 4 unit of capital and 4 unit of labor used in the production process. If 2 were used, they can produce only 250. That is also possible. So we call it as diminishing. So with ISO count, what they are explaining is that to achieve a same returns like in future, we are using more of labor proportion or more of input proportion. The scale of input is more also to achieve the same output or the same returns in the production process. That's why we to scale. So in the same way, like this is the thing, the constant returns to scale. So in constant returns to scale, the scale is maintained in the same proportion. In the same way, the output is also receiving at the same proportion. So here you can see the very first unit of the very 100 unit is produced with 2 unit of capital and 2 unit of labor, and the second unit of second 100 unit of production is received by again using 2 unit of capital and 2 unit of labor. This is all together, but what is the addition that you are using to get this additional output? That is what you have to see. So 2 unit of capital and 2 unit of labor. In the same way, further an increase in the production, like 100 more units if you 2 more unit of capital and 2 more unit of labor is used. So 2 unit of capital and unit of labor units. So that combination is shown here. So this is why, like when the proportion is same, the input proportion that is used in the process, uh, output product output proportion. So that's why we call this as a constant returns to scale. The proposal. Okay, so here again they have given you all the explanations like returns to scale, why that the scale is decreasing. Want to see? They have given all the explanations which we have seen yesterday itself. Okay, not the concept, the concept for this increasing returns or diminishing returns. Inputs used, specialization, internal economies and the external economy enjoy. All these an important role. And here they have given one more concept like if they are indulged in the production process which is going to benefit the subsidiaries will be given by the government. So an industry which is working on with the help of the subsidiaries or incentives provided, like they will be likewise some additional is also added here. So you can just go through it and you can understand the concept. So this is the uh, uh, increasing and constant return with help of isocon curve. They have given isocon curve, but the same thing we can explain it with isocon as well as isocost line. Okay, so cost the um, but do it. So that is also possible. Just a minute. That is also possible. I will just draw any one diagram with an isocont and an isocost line. So whichever it is easy for you, you can use it. Like if you want to go with isocont alone, you can explain that. Or if you want to explain it with isocont and isocost line, you can explain it in that. So the concept are same. We normally the production possibility. Like production possibilities can be identified um, with the help of isocost line also. That's why I'm giving that as an example. I'm just taking my whiteboard few minutes. Okay, is my screen visible for you people? My whiteboard is visible for you?
Information.
Yes, okay. So this is how, again, I'm giving an example. Okay, this is the concept, like capital and labor is used to measure. So you can have a ISO cost line also. ISO cost line is nothing but the factor price line. Okay, so ISO cost line, and this is in different ISO counter curve. Okay, so this is ISO curve. This is ISO curve 1, so which means that 100 units is produced. Okay, and this is like you can have an expansion path so that it will be easy for you. And this is isocon 2 with 200 units, and this is isocon 3 with 300 units, whichever. Okay, factor price line, and with isocon curve we are explaining it. So here 2 unit of capital and 2 unit of labor is used. So in the same way, 2 of I have taken returns to scale. Okay, so 2 more unit of labor is used, and here again 2 more unit of capital and 2 more unit of labor is used. So this can be L6. This is the combination. So this is the, that is they are explaining with the consumer equilibrium, not only just with the isocon, but the iso cost line is also taken, where they are saying consumer equilibrium, like, sorry, not consumer, producer equilibrium. Producer's equilibrium point is determined. So this is A, this is B. Sorry. So this is P point and this is C point. So this is consumer. So the consumer equilibrium also we it. So where they have given the factor price line and they have given the ISO. Normally this is the way to show the equilibrium. But what, like this is like too many of diagrams. I have given too many diagrams in one, so that will be confusing to people. So to avoid confusion only, they have just a count. But it means that they are like they are considering the producer like randomly, like we cannot make a theory, So it is based on producer's equilibrium point. So they are determining the point based on how many units of capital and labor is used in the production process. With the variation of inputs, they are trying to explain whether it is increasing or diminishing or constant. So when this variation is going to be declining, like with the less amount is the same, then we call it increasing returns, because with inputs they are producing more. So if this variation rate is going to be in an increase, then we call it as a decreasing returns. Why? Because we are producing with more of inputs, and proportion is going to be same. We call it the constant returns. So this is what is law of returns to scale with the help of ISO count and ISO cost line. Okay, so if it is ISO cost, you have to draw this line also. If it is just ISO count, you can just explain it with the ISO count curves. So you can have this as one of the examples, and other than that, like you can take it from the how they with the ISO count alone is also more than enough. You can have it. Okay, is the concept clear? Very simple. Why? Because like already you know all. It was a simple concept today. If not, so like we will be explaining all these things and it will be taking time. So now it has become very simple to understand the concept.